you're watching To The Point, I'm Preeti Choudhry. We come to you from what I must say, the spectacular Samruddhi Express, which joins Nagpur all the way till Mumbai. But it's still incomplete, complete to Igatpuri, but have to say it's really cut down the distance and especially helping us when we're trying to traverse from one region to the other where Maharashtra is concerned. On the other hand, from where we are coming from, the Vidarbha region, all not very well. Fair amount of disquiet. Usually it is drought which stalks the farmers of Vidarbha. This time around, it was unseasonal, excessive rainfall that has ruined the crop, especially where the soya bean crop is concerned. Will the farm distress? Because the angst of the farmer viewers in Lok Sabha election did translate into anger against the incumbent government, and we saw the kind of results in Vidarbha that we did. Once the playground of the Congress party, the bastion of the Congress party, the Bharatiya Janata Party in the last 10 years, continued to make massive gains where Vidarbha was concerned. The Congress this time hoping to bolster on the Lok Sabha numbers and hoping that they're going to come back where Vidarbha is concerned. And one thing is for sure, we've come out of elections in America. If there is a swing region in the state of Maharashtra, it's right here in Vidarbha. What do the farmers feel? 78% of those living in Vidarbha occupies about 30% of the entire Maharashtra and 22% of the population, and 78% of the people living here are engaged in agriculture. Will farm distress show, or will the voters vote on other benchmarks, caste identity, cash schemes? They say three C's will rule the roost this time in elections where Maharashtra is concerned. Cash, schemes like Ladki Bahin Yojana, crop, farmers, will they vote as farmers? Or C, caste, will they vote on caste identity? किसान है उसका सब सही चल रहा है? नहीं किसान भाव जगह जो मिलता है सही चल रहा है सब?
नहीं ना, भाव नहीं मिल रहे।
2022 में हमने सोयाबीन बेचा 6,800 में, 23 में बेचा 5,200 में, इस साल 24 में अभी 3,700 रुपए चालू है। 4,000 के अंदर ही है।
सोयाबीन आप भी खेती करते हैं?
पूरे काश्त।
और कपास का
भाव है अभी 7,300 रुपया, और गवर्नमेंट का रेट है 7,531 रुपया, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट खरीदी नहीं करती। प्राइवेट जिनिंग वाले प्राइवेट वाले खरीदी करते हैं, इसलिए वो भाव कम देते।
गवर्नमेंट कपास का खरीदी नहीं
कर रहे। पिछले साल भी नहीं किया, इस साल भी नहीं कर रहे।
और इसमें जो खाद यूरिया लगता है उसमें लागत ज्यादा है या मतलब बच जाता है?
बहुत बढ़ गया, लागत का तो खर्चा बहुत बढ़ गया। 2013 में एक बोरी का कीमत था 400 रुपया।
किस चीज का बोरी?
ये डीएपी की।
डीएपी, हाँ।
अभी 1750 रुपए हो गए खाद।
आप सोयाबीन की खेती करते हैं?
सोयाबीन सभी
कपास और सोयाबीन। पर सोयाबीन तो अब गवर्नमेंट एमएसपी के उसमें ले रहा है।
वो तो एमएसपी पे वाउचर वो बहुत है, उसमें रहती है, ये रहता है। हाँ, पैसे भी जल्दी मिलते क्या?
एमएसपी से नहीं कह तो रहा है, सरकार ले रहा है कि नहीं ले रहा है?
ये कल से चालू हो गया, वो वाले निकष बहुत बड़े है।
19 में किसके साथ थे?
19 में हम बीजेपी के साथ थे।
10 साल से अभी तक बीजेपी के साथ में।
10 साल से?
आओ, अभी तक बीजेपी के साथ है। बाकी कुछ नहीं कर रहा, काहीच नहीं कर रहा। कहाँ आप देखोगे, रास्ता देखिए, सब देखिए, महंगाई देखिए, आदमी लंबा होते।
देवेंद्र फडणवीस ने बोला था क्या कपास को इतना भाव देंगे, 6,000 दूंगा, उसने वो डिंडी निकाली, नहीं दिया। मोदी ने बोला था कि पहले मीटिंग में पहला ही काम किसानों को कर्जा माफ करूंगा। क्या कर्जा माफ?
2014
हमको कर्जा माफ भी नहीं होना, लाडली बहन भी नहीं होना, कुछ भी नहीं होना, सिर्फ हमारे इसको भाव होना। सोयाबीन को, कपास को, जो हमारे टमाटर है उसको सबको भाव होना, चने को। हम हमारे को कर्जा माफ भी नहीं होना, कुछ भी नहीं, हम खुद ही कर्जा भर देते।
एमएसपी को भाव है 4,090, यहाँ 4,890, अभी यहाँ 3,500, 3,600, 4,000 तक बेचा जा रहा है। इसका मतलब 1,000 से 1,500 रुपए का फर्क है। किसान कैसा काम करेगा, कैसा बुआई करेगा, कैसा?
प्रधानमंत्री बोलते हैं कि किसानों की आय डबल करना है। लेकिन कहाँ पे एक्चुअली प्रधानमंत्री ने आके देखने को ना कि आय डबल कैसी होंगी, उल्टी आय घट रही है।
और जो एमएसपी अभी जो कह रहे हैं सोयाबीन शुरू किया है वो नहीं हो रहा है, आप कह रहे हैं?
बिल्कुल नहीं है।
यहाँ पर बिक्री अब कितने का हो रहा है?
4000 से 41 तक बिक्री हुई। एक क्विंटल यानी 37 से 41 तक बिक्री हो रही है।
कितने का जा रहा है भाव अभी?
अभी 3500 से ऊपर 41 तक 4100 रुपए तक भाव जा रहा है।
भाव जा रहा है।
हाँ।
पर जो एमएसपी है उससे कम जा रहा है।
उससे कम जा रहा है।
लागत जितनी होती है कितना बचता है कि नहीं बचता है?
कहाँ बचता है, ये तो रेट भी नहीं पूराता।
और जो खाद है डीएपी?
डीएपी अभी इतनी महंगी हो गई, पहले 1200 में बैग मिलती थी, अभी 1400 1450 में बैग मिल रही।
किसान खुश है कि ना खुश है सर?
ना खुश है, ना खुश। सरकार से तो ना खुशी है,
नाराजी है,
सरकार से पूरी नाराजी है।
नाराज है।
तेल का भाव बढ़ा,
सोयाबीन के
सोयाबीन का रेट
सोयाबीन का रेट अभी कम है। अभी तुम बताओ, सोयाबीन 4100 3500 से 4100 और तेल का भाव है 2200।
तेल का भाव बढ़ गया, सोयाबीन का नहीं
बढ़ा।
लाडकी बहन घर पे आता है आपके? आ रहा है?
आता है, लेकिन हमारे से कितना लेके जाती है?
लाड़की बहन के पैसे घर में आते, उससे ज्यादा पैसे घर से बाहर जाते क्योंकि 10,000 रूपए 7,500 रूपए आ रहे, 15,000 रूपए घर से जा रहे थे।
पिछली बार 19 में किसके साथ थे? 19 में किसके साथ थे?
जिसने एमएसपी का कायदा किया उसके साथ थे हम लोग। किसी ने कायदा किया नहीं, हम किसी के साथ नहीं है। नोटों का ये करेंगे, नोटा दबाएंगे।
कुछ भी भाव नहीं मैडम, ये कुछ भी क्या है, 2200 रूपए तेल का डब्बा किया अभी दिवाली के समय में। ये तरीका है क्या? तुम रेट दो ना। पिछले साल 2200 रूपए भाव था तो 6,000 रूपए भाव था सोयाबीन का। अभी इस साल क्यों डाउन किया? अभी तो इलेक्शन है, हमारे को बीजेपी सरकार ही नहीं होना। बात तो सही है।
हमको कुछ नहीं चाहिए इनका, बस हमारा घाम का दाम होना, बस
जो नहीं हो रहा। All right, there's a way to look at this. There's a lot of good that has taken place, and like I began this news bulletin, this broadcast, I'm coming to you from the Samruddhi Express, and it's spectacular in terms of the hours that it cuts. On the other hand, there is clear disquiet, and not disquiet because this time the farmers are loud, they are vocal, where the farm distress in Vidarbha is concerned. And will it translate into votes? That's the big question. Will the farm identity speak, or will caste identity speak? Will women vote as women where the Ladki Bahin Yojana is concerned, or will women vote as farmers who are attached to a unit where Vidarbha is concerned? One thing that I can clearly tell you, because I have traversed through the region of Vidarbha, you can hear the distress. It's vocal. But is it there for the Maha Vikas Aghadi? That's the big question, because multiple times we heard disdain, but we did not quite hear the kind of support for the opposition, the Aghadi. It's not that we did. There were also parts where we heard a lot of support coming in where the farm belt is concerned, where the independents come into fray. And that's the big question. Will independence spoil the game either for the Mahayuti or largely for the Aghadi? All those questions, let's cut across right now to our guest this evening. Joining me, Rajat Sethi, political analyst, Ashutosh, political analyst, Sudhir Suryavanshi will also be joining us, as well as my colleague Sahil Joshi, our editor where Mumbai and the entire bureau of Maharashtra is concerned. Let's begin with Rajat. Rajat, you know, the fact is, like I pointed out, there is a lot of good. And on the flip side of it, something that we saw in elections 2024, the angst of the farmers turned into anger. And that's why Vidarbha turned for the Bharatiya Janata Party like it did. 2019 was a very different story. And largely it was the anger of the farmers that turned the vote in 2024 in favor of the Aghadi. This time around, where state elections are concerned, dynamics are different. But Rajat, the anger still remains.
So, Preeti, I agree. The anger around onion and soybean, these two as principal pain points of the farmers there, especially in the Vidarbha belt, has been there. This was one of the reasons why, in a straight fight with BJP and the Congress party in the Lok Sabha election, BJP lost considerably in its otherwise stronghold. So that concern remains, but also keep in mind that the election has become quite localized, even in several seats in Vidarbha. We are seeing the local dynamics playing out. BJP also is taking the message forward that it has in the gap between the Lok Sabha and the model code, it went out and announced slew of measures in terms of improving the price remuneration for soybean and for onion. The export ban that was there for onion was different. The catch-22 problem for the BJP was that if they had imports or whatever, that if you remove the cap on the export ban on onions, then perhaps foreign holders might hold on to onion and the onion prices might shoot around the country. And this is why they had put a cap, an export ban on onion. The flip side of that was that some of the farmers in Maharashtra suffered because of this, and that pain is still lingering. What BJP is hoping is it has put a lot of its eggs in the Ladki Behan Yojana. They believe that that per household, if 7,000-8,000 rupees goes in through the scheme, somehow these pain points of the farmers can be alleviated. Mm-hmm. It's a makeshift solution, I agree. Is it going to pull off BJP through this election and not remain an issue where Vidarbha farmers especially rally against and show their anger in favor of the Agadi? That should be BJP's principal concern in this election.
I want to bring in Sudhir into this conversation, and we'll cut across to Ashutosh, because Sudhir, what one sees here, there were two things I really wanted to gauge. One was, will the farmers vote as farmers or will they vote in caste lines? Number two that I wanted to gauge is Ladki Bahin Yojana actually working? In some parts, Sudhir, I saw it actually as a contradiction, where the farmers thought, jitna de rahe ho, double le rahe ho. There is a sense कि सोयाबीन का भाव इतने साल नहीं बढ़ा, पर दिवाली के टाइम पर सोयाबीन का तेल बढ़ गया. We didn't hear it once, we heard it all across. The question, Sudhir, is how do you gauge it? Because there are 62 seats in Vidarbha. The farm factor, if it speaks, will speak loudly. Now, will that happen? What's your assessment?
Vidarbha, this election, couple of things are going to play the role, major role actually. Vidarbha is a land of cotton particularly, then later it comes to the soybean. In cotton, if you see cotton, if you remember a few years ago, the cottons were sold at 9,000 to 10,000 per quintal. The MSP, the government rate is 7,500. But the farmers who are selling the cotton at the rate of 6,000 only. And on the other hand, if you see the input cost has gone up drastically, labor cost has gone up drastically. So as you rightly pointed out that, in under Ladki Bahina, they got the one hand, but other hand, big, pickpocketing has happened. Therefore, people are not fool, nowadays because of social media and there are so many, ways of communication. Their sons and daughters are educated, so they can immediately do not need a calculator to calculate the things, how much expenses they are spending and how much income they are getting. So farmers are also very smart. They understand, what kind of politics has been played with them. So definitely farmers, issue, the agrarian issue, going to play the major role in this election. And that is against the incumbent government. That is the first thing. Second, as you asked, whether the caste things will also play up. In Vidarbha, there is 2-3 caste, major dominating caste. One is Kunbi, second is Dalit, then Teli, then Muslim things. Nana Patole, who is the Maharashtra Congress Chief Minister, and there is a buzz and discussion whether he will be Chief Minister, not Chief Minister. But discussion is there that Nana Patole can be the Chief Minister of Maharashtra if Congress get a good number of seats, and particularly from Vidarbha, and he belongs to the Kunbi community as OBC community. So OBC community is big time rallying behind this Nana Patole, and earlier this community was with the BJP. So this is a big loss for the BJP if the Kunbi is deserting to them. That is the first. Second, Dalit is also a major factor. Earlier the Savidhan thing was, people have forgotten actually the Savidhan thing. But Devendra Fadnavis, linked that Savidhan, Rahul Gandhi Savidhan, a town hall meeting to the Marxist red color. And suddenly the Savidhan subject has been again in the discussion among the Dalit voters and the downtrodden voter. The people are again talking about the Savidhan. So these things are also going to play in the Vidarbha. DMK factor, we generally call it in analogy, Dalit, Muslim and Kunbi. If they consolidate behind the Congress as they consolidate in the Lok Sabha, again we will see the different sort of result in Vidarbha.
Right. You know, you say the DMK, I'll add an A to it, Sudhir, ADMK, Adivasi as well, especially where the belt of Gadchiroli and, parts of Chandrapur is concerned. But you made a very strong point, and I want to bring in Ashutosh into this conversation. Something also, that at least our team endeavored to do in the last couple of days. We're not doing any political interviews. We're only going back, trying and speaking to maximum stakeholders who are the voters. Is the Teli community as well. The Teli community had rallied behind the BJP, OBC, and the farmers that I just spoke to, the cotton farmers earlier in this bulletin as well that we played out an excerpt, actually come from the Teli community, which is worrisome for the BJP because they are very, very angry. But Ashutosh, is the anger now directed, yes, against the Mahayuti, but is it channeled to leverage the Aghadi? That's the question, because where Vidarbha is concerned, Ashutosh, what you hear, the catchphrase on ground, other than Bhav, other than Haq, is also a Paksha independent. You hear that a lot.
See, Preeti, whether the Aghadi has been able to leverage that, we will only get to know on 23rd of November, not before that. So all kinds of analysis and calculation will happen. See, the issue today in Maharashtra politics is that there is an incumbency because the government is there for the last 2.5 years. So the government has to give a lot of answers because people will be asking questions. If there is a distress, if there is a problem, people will have to answer. Let's not forget it. Maharashtra is probably the most industrialized state in India, and its contribution in the GDP is 11.2%. Whereas if you compare it with the workforce, it's almost 43.2% workforce is employed there into the agriculture sector.
43.6%, yes.
Yeah. Obviously there. So obviously it's very skewed. When it is skewed, that means there will be distress. And if you look at how the soybean is sold in the Latur market, it's something around 4,300 to 4,400, whereas the MSP something around 4,800. So people are forced to sell
4,800 is the MSP. Actually, Ashutosh, I was at a mandi today and it was actually selling for 3,600 because there are various grades to an MSP, and because of excessive rainfall, the soybean crop hasn't made the grade.
Yeah. So obviously there will be distress, and obviously the farmers will be very unhappy because whatever the input cost is crossing over the output cost. So if they are not meeting what the expenses they made into the agriculture field, obviously there will be a problem, and it is very clearly shown in the report. Talking to the local citizens who are there, and they are saying कि लाडकी बहनी योजना की वजह से how much I am getting. So they are not very happy with that. See, the two things which I want to make it very clear. The one is that election did not happen along with Haryana. That itself was an indication that the government is not very very happy with the situation on the ground. And secondly, the Latki Bahini Yojana was also introduced at the last minute. That is another indication that the government is not happy at all. So these two things have been combined so that the three installment of the Latki Bahini Yojana reaches to the people.
Okay. I want to pull in Rajat back into this conversation. Rajat, the fact is, it does seem, at least in Vidarbha, because I'm moving out from Vidarbha, but what we can speak of is there is discontent, but it's not really channeling towards the Aghadi consistently. There is anti-incumbency. It's for the Aghadi to take, but will they pick it up is the big question. How much do you feel is the Mahayuti and especially the BJP, because it's the biggest player in this region, actually depending on the role of independence?
I think in terms of rebel candidates, if you were to say, and if you were to bring in the numbers of rebels in both in Aghadi as well as in UP, I believe that both the parties are suffering to the same level in terms of dissidents. However, the big question is that can Congress party, or especially the Congress, because in Vidarbha it is the Congress party which is in direct fight with the BJP, will the BJP be able to bring in a more grandstanding around Hindu unity as a principal offering to the electorate? Would that work or not work? These are a set of questions that the voters are grappling with. But in my opinion, the critical battles that would determine the fate of Maharashtra are going to be the head-on battles between the BJP and the Congress party. Congress party and the Aghadi, their agenda got a bit derailed because of the infighting that was there in a run-up to the nominations. Will that play out? Would that sour the mood of, say, Nana Patole not doing enough to cobble up the support that he potentially could. All of these questions are out there, which would determine the course, especially in Vidarbha. I think BJP is keeping its fingers crossed that keeping the elections hyper-local, ensuring that its own specific leaders and constituencies will do heavy lifting and pull this battle off.
You know, there are 76 seats in all. And Sudhir, you know that better than, most, where there is a direct contest between the BJP and the Congress. 36 of them lie in Vidarbha. Therefore, the role of independence. Because what we did also see, like I pointed out to Ashutosh, you hear the word apaksh very, very loudly in certain constituencies. Even if there is anger, is it going to be mopped up by the apaksh, the independents?
See, that independent do play the, sometimes good role or bad role, depend upon the party and depend upon the situation. We have seen in Haryana, it has helped to, BJP. But if you remember, few years ago in Chhattisgarh, Ajit Jogi, so people thought that he will damage the Congress, but in fact, he has, helped the Congress, in the election. So same thing can happen in Maharashtra. But if you see in Maharashtra, Congress is direct fight with the BJP, but Congress has good add-on. That is Sharad Pawar and the Uddhav Thackeray. Earlier, Congress was a lone party, but they got a good add-on, and both are the mass leader and public appeal leader, and they got their own chunk of the voters in the respective constituencies also. Besides, Vidarbha, is always was a stronghold of the Congress, but the last 10 years, Devendra Fadnavis and Nitin Gadkari converted into the BJP basin. But if you see the 2019 State Assembly tally also, Congress has merged and bounced back in a big way. They got up 22-something seats in Vidarbha and the majority of seats in the Lok Sabha also. So Congress, their vote bank like a Dalit, Muslim and Adivasi has been getting back. That is a good news for the Congress, but they need to hold it back. And for that, they need to fight it back.
Will they be able to do so, Ashutosh? That's the big question because, we did see that kind of exuberance and overconfidence in Haryana. Have lessons been learned? Because this election is going to be managed more, mahal less.
See, Preeti, if the parliament election is any indication that it shows that there is a tough fight between the Aghadi and the Mahayuti, because the vote percentage between the two is only 0.16%. So in terms of seats, there is a vast difference between the two, but in terms of vote percent, there is hardly any difference. But if you are pitting Congress against the BJP, then one can easily understand that the BJP's strike rate is only 32%, that is fifth in the pecking order, whereas the Congress has got 76% strike rate, and that's second into the pecking order. So if you go by these data and by statistics, then obviously I'll put my money on the Congress party. But looking at the politics of the Maharashtra, it's very difficult. One point which I'm really little wary of, because at the last minute, what Amit Shah has said that has hinted that Devendra Fadnavis can be the chief ministerial candidate after the election. He being a Brahmin, will it be a negative for the BJP or the Mahayuti? That has to be seen in the context of the caste census.
Okay. All right. I appreciate all three gentlemen for joining us. Thank you there. Tomorrow, we'd be rolling out of the tribal belt. 10% of the population of Maharashtra is tribal. And we'd be going deeper into the remotest corners of the Vidarbha region. We'll, join you from there. Thank you for our guests for joining us.